Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the premier high school wrestling podcast in New Jersey, Near Fall. I'm Donald J. Brower. Big opening weekend. Had a lot of fun with our coverage. We're going to talk a lot about some stuff that happened at the Beast, some other tournaments that happened, our Wrestler of the Week. I'm going to debut my top 10 for each one. So it'll be a Hunterdon and Warren Sussex top 10. It'll be a Morris County top 10. It'll be a Passaic top 10. And before we get started, let's get it out of the way. We got to get the people who got us here, our sponsors, the main people. I had a new tablecloth. You're going to see. I'll post pictures up. They had some oblong tables at our coverage this weekend, but we will have it in our coverage for this week. But our sponsors, first, Champion Athletes. Dan Warnikoff has been a big proponent of what we do here, and we love what he does. Your body is your car. Why are you going to put bad gas in your car? You know, you can work out, you can get all the nice shiny stuff. You need that fuel. Dan will help you. He'll get you where you need to be. He'll take away that when you try to cut weight. I never had to cut weight, fat guy. You know, but when you had to cut weight, you had to, do some cut back on what you eat. He'll help you get there healthily and make you sure you're eating right and doing everything you need to do. Ask Pat Glory. Pat Glory dedicated himself to his nutrition. He went from finishing the finals twice and losing, wins 2 straight, winds up going on and being a national champion. And a lot of that comes down to nutrition. So Dan Warnikoff, Champion Athletes, thank you again. The Apex Wrestling School, founded by Damian Logan in 2002. One of the best schools in the area, 4 schools in New Jersey, 1 in New York. Dane Tabano, also his Michigan teammate, is a big there. Apex Wrestling School, thank you so much. New sponsor this year. They've been very helpful, and we want to help spread the word about them and the Harrington companies. If you're familiar with that name, that is the family of Ryan Harrington, a 2-time undefeated state champion from Mendham. The Hoffman Landscaping, the Harrington Recycling, and the Harrington Demolition. Anything you need done with your house, give the Harrington family a call. They can get it done. They have those cool little white trucks with the green logo on. I see them everywhere. So I think they're following me sometimes, but it's I always see those green trucks no matter where I am in the state. And the Harrington companies are big supporters of not only Near Fall but high school wrestling in general. Now let's talk about some high school wrestling. Opening weekend, only a few early matches, which I wasn't a fan of. Especially conference matches. I'll get to that after I kind of talk a little bit more, but I have a plan to kind of fix some of the conference matches, but there were a few. It's starting to creep a little earlier, which is not good for me for my preview videos, because when you finish filming some of them on Tuesday and you're trying to work through and get them all done, Thursday matches kind of give you 48 hours of no sleep and a lot of Red Bulls and a lot of Mountain Dew amps. And it was a fun 48 hours, but we got them done and kicked off the season with some quality matchups, right out of the gate. I think the biggest one obviously would be Warren Hills traveling down in the new Delaware division they're in with Hunterdon Central, heading down to Flemington and wrestling them Friday night. Coming up on the short end, they're really good down low, Warren Hills. They matched up really well, but they were a little barren up top in a sense where they didn't have a lot of competition in Hanover Park. I'm thinking of the Beast East now. Hunterdon Central pulled away down there, in the upper weight. So they wound up winning that match 48-22. And speaking of Hunterdon Central, going into our first tournament of the weekend, they won the Caldwell tournament. They finished first there. Great showing by them. And another team in the area, right down Route 12, the Delaware Valley tournament. Delaware Valley won that. Voorhees finished third. Another great tournament by Delaware Valley. Got to get out there one time. I'm always so busy on opening weekend. I got to get out to the Wendeley tournament, and get out there and see that. Big tournament a lot of people were looking at was down in Delaware. For those who didn't want to make the trip down to the Mecca that is Delaware, if you ever get a chance, Google Wayne's World Delaware. It's a funny little skit, but I'm talking about some of the local people who medaled, top 6 for us in the area. Looking at the boys, Del Barton had a good showing down there with some of their guys. Some of the freshmen I talked about in my preview video, Cameron Sons and Ryan DeGeorge. Cameron placed second at 106. Ryan placed fourth at 126. Their teammate Jaden James took first at 138. So great showing by Del Barton down there. some young guys in there. Jaden's a sophomore, so the future looks bright for Del Barton. The rest of the guys, some of them sat out due to injuries, a little banged up. They didn't want to, press anything going in. So Del Barton had a nice showing down there. Carson Walsh from Pope John finishing fourth at 132. Good job by Carson. I know Carson, when we talked in the preview video, obviously wants to get on that stand and AC and finish on top if he can. But good start for him to get down there and in a really tough bracket. 132, when you look at it, was really tough. Some of the other brackets, yeah, okay. 132 was really tough. And jumping up to the bigger guys, Vincenzo Laval from Hanover Park finishing fifth at 190. And somebody who's not in our coverage area, he was, and I'm really happy he finished first. Ryan Burton, the Pork Chop Express, that is a Big Trouble in Little China reference for you youngins. That was a Kurt Russell movie before he was involved with the Godzilla franchise. I'm an old man, so we'll deal with it. From St. Joe's Mountville, taking first at 175. Heading over to the girls, Laval's teammate, Gabriella Conte, finished third at 106. Great job for freshman. Boonton, with a pair of medalists at 145. Julia Fungaro finished fourth, and Samira Kupa finished sixth at 155. And another impressive showing by Caroline Beagle of DePaul, finishing second at 235. Now, there were lots of other tournaments, and all the tournaments are updated on the site. We have one or two outliers, just waiting on results, but most of the pages are updated. The tournaments are updated, so everything's kind of updated from there. But the one tournament we were at that we got a chance to cover live was the return of the Laker Holiday Classic. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Laker Holiday Classic is at Mountain Lakes High School. It was there till 2019, and right around COVID, they shut it down. So the last year was 2019. They shut it down with everything, and then they didn't bring it right back right away. They were kind of getting everything going. They brought it back to great success. I'd been there, it's kind of like one of my little fun tournaments to go to that was local, and I would go and blog and do some stuff with that. They really stepped their game up coming back. Used to be about a 10, 11 team tournament. They had 16 here. Seemed to swallow up the old Bayonne tournament from a year ago. A lot of those teams made the trip to Mountain Lakes, which is more convenient for a Pequannock, a Mendham, a Butler, along those lines. But Freudian slip, I mentioned Butler, but Butler was your winner of the tournament, wound up beating Wayne Valley, another team with area coverage, by 2 points. So great job by Butler and Tim Mickens, who's really done a great job with the team. In talking to some of the parents, they basically told them, you have the hot rod car, you have some really good wrestlers, don't drive us into a ditch, just keep it on the road. And with this start so far, he's done a real good job with that. The person that came out with the OW there talking about some other champions was Rafe Fonte from Mendham, won it at 120. I got a chance to catch up with him after the tournament. This is our interview with the OW of the Mountain Lakes Laker Classic. We're here with the OW from the Mountain Lakes Holiday Tournament, but they called him all day and didn't ask anybody. Rafe Fonte.
They call me Rob.
They called it, like, Rastaman. But talk about this title and winning it. I know you obviously have bigger goals this year, but just to kind of come out in your first holiday tournament and walk away with this award.
It feels good to walk out with this award. I didn't really I didn't know this was an award, but I was just coming in to dominate anyway. So,
what were you kind of looking for? When you come into this, obviously, we've talked about you having other goals. Is this sort of like a elevated practice for you where you kind of want to work on your stuff, or are you kind of like in a live action where you kind of just react to what they do?
Both, pretty much. Matches are the best practice because you just find out what works and what doesn't work. So. And
finally, this team, you guys are kind of getting rounded up. You have some young guys. How do you feel your team overall did today?
The team I think did pretty well. This team is a lot younger than the teams past I've been a part of Mendham, so I think we're doing well, and definitely next year and years past that, we could do pretty well and get that to state sectionals.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy this. Don't enjoy it too much because you got some big matches coming up. Thanks so much. Thanks for the time, Rafe. Always enjoy catching up with a fellow Mendham wrestler. Now, we had a tough time picking the wrestler of the week this week. There were so many good performances around, and we had the Beast, you had other tournaments. I'm actually staying in the coverage area because I got to see him do it myself. My wrestler of the week is the 113-pound champion, Issa Kupa from Boonton, the sophomore. Now, people ask me, what did I see different? Kupa, when he first was getting into high school, didn't feel like he was on the right par. Winds up going to a new club, learns a bunch of stuff, has a really great season for Boonton last year at 106. Goes to districts, gets down to regions, doesn't finish how he wants to. Works hard this offseason, gets better, comes into this tournament, beats 2 kids he lost to last year en route to winning the championship. So that's an impressive run right there. So Issa Kupa, congratulations. You're my wrestler of the week. Now, as we go from the wrestler of the week, let's go to our teams. Everybody's wondering what my top 10 for the area is going to be. So let's break them down. I got the new ones posted. It's up on the site, but let me go over what I got. We're going to start with number 10 in the HWS, North Hunterdon. Coach Bell in there instituting his lineup, what he wants to do with the program. I think they're going to be very successful in the future. And it's also going to be interesting because they're going to be wrestling our team that's number 9, Voorhees. So they're going to be wrestling, hopefully, the night you get this out, and we'll see how that lands. But I like Voorhees. I think Voorhees just has a little more, nothing bad, but I think that'll be a really good matchup in Annandale this tonight, actually, as we're recording this. Number 8, Warren Hills. As I said, had a tough time with Hunterdon Central, but who wouldn't? Hunterdon Central is a really senior-heavy team. Still very quality squad, and I think they're going to do well as they go forward. Number 7, Kittatinny. Kittatinny's just an impressive team. You think they're done. You think, they've lost a couple guys who can't, and they can't recover from, and they do. And they're very competitive, and that's a credit to that coaching staff. They get those kids, and they get them, ready to go no matter what situation is. So Kittatinny's number 7. Number 6 is my team to watch. Now, when I say this, I like this team. I want to see how they wrestle against some of the other area teams. I like Sparta. Sparta, I don't know what it is when you look at it. They get some good wrestlers. They got some numbers and some depth, as I said on their preview video. Keep an eye out for Sparta. I expect some big things for them this year. I think they could do really well. Right above them, a crosstown rival, Pope John. Like I said, they did good representation at the Beast. And just so I know, I've gotten some emails about this when people look at the different stuff. They go, well, how could you have Pope John ranked so high when they finished 10th or 11th in this tournament, this opening weekend tournament, or Hanover Park, who finished, last at this tournament? They didn't bring their most experienced wrestlers to those tournaments. So you got to look at all the information. That was like last year when a lot of people were emailing us saying we should have Montville higher than Del Barton because Montville beat Del Barton, but Del Barton was out at the Hall of Fame duels in Oklahoma and didn't send their main varsity guys. So a lot of people knew that, but you look at the paper and you just look at it, you think that. But I'm sorry, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I'll get back to the rankings. Number 4, High Point. Just a really solid team. I mean, it's going to be Gardner's last year before he transitions to being strictly the girls coach. And I think they're going to perform really well for him this year. Number 3, we talked about Malora, Hunterdon Central, senior heavy team. I think they're going to be, competitive with pretty much everybody they see. And I think they're going to have a real good shot of, winning their section this year. I think that loss in the section finals to Howell, I think really stung with them this year. And I think they're, they're trying to get back to that level. Number 2, Del Val, the reigning region Group 1 champion. I see nothing, really going against them. Great numbers, solid leadership. Way to go. And if you've kind of figured by process of elimination, number 1 is Phillipsburg right now. The loss of Rivera up top is going to hurt. That'll kind of restrict your flexibility of your lineup, but I think Phillipsburg, wins. And I know Del Val beat Peaburg last year, so it literally was a toss-up between, 1 and 2 who I was going to put there, but I erred toward Peaburg just for now. Now let's head to Morris. This is always the toughest because you're still trying to learn, and there's a lot of teams that lost a bunch of really good wrestlers, but and this will shape out, next week or so once we get through some holiday tournaments and some stuff we're covering, this and that. Number 10, I got Morris Knowles. They lost some seniors, but I think they're going to be super competitive. They may not be super competitive with a lot of the top teams, but they're still in there. They're a top 10 team in the area. Number 9, Randolph. We'll see them Fridays. I'll talk about some of our coverage coming up, but we'll get a good shot to see them. Brian Piccolo, great job in his last few years there, and now he's got Coach Took back on the sidelines with him as an assistant. They got 2 really good wrestlers that I can think of off the top of my head, Jason Petrosky and Dean Mangiocavallo, who should give them points in that middle to upper part. And if they get a couple of the other guys to fill in around, I think they should be very dangerous in that conference, in that division. Par Hill's another team, as we saw them at the Mountain Lakes tournament. Logan Forgach winning the 106 championship. James McGinty sat out due to bout limits. He didn't want to go crazy because he was a bit the Sam Cali, and he had to keep it under. But Par Hills, I think, is going to be very impressive on the way up. Could give Hanover Park a real run for their money in that conference. Montville has those guys who are good, but they're not. I don't want to insult them. They're not the showiest, if that makes sense. They're very good, but they're more of a team, and I think that helps them when, head coach Brian Capral has them rolling out, here early. Number 6, Morris Hills, Coach Bolette has them running, and always has numbers and has been doing a great job there. I like them. Jefferson, number 5, new head coach up there, in Chris Lance. I think he'll keep them rolling through. Number 4, Hanover Park. Hanover Park's got some really good wrestlers. They have Nick DeFrancesco Antonio, Gabriella Conti, Vincenzo Laval, and some others, Nando Ott, and those guys. It's going to be if some of the young guys can step in and fill some of the holes. I still think they're going to most likely win their section. Winning the group's going to be a little tough. Santino Denise went to Don Bosco Prep. I think that would have helped them. But I have them number 4 right now, so we'll see how that shakes out. Number 3, West Morris. The penalty of winning the national division, last year. Hey, here you go. Come up to the American division with a Del Barton, a Pope John, and Mount Olive. So you win, but it's like you get the zonk on let's make a deal. But seriously, they have some good wrestlers. They have Brandon Dean, Mark Montour. They have Tommy Borgia. The list goes on, and they have pretty much a full lineup. So I think that makes them dangerous because the last couple of years they've been giving up 21 points, 18 or 24 points before they even start. So for them to be able to kind of get out there and be somewhat even when it starts, you're good to go. And then, of course, the top 2, you got Mount Olive, excuse me. I mean, what can you say about Mount Olive? They won their section. They, gave a good run against Jackson Memorial and in the group semis, which I got to call for Lighthouse Sports Network. They bring back some really good wrestlers. I know they lost a good few, but they got Tyler Haggison, Tyler Bienis, Piemonte. I know I'm forgetting some, so I apologize. I know I'm forgetting it, so I'm drawing a blank on some. But yeah, they do a really good job. They have, what they have with their team is going to be a solid squad to do their stuff, and they get a great coaching staff. So when you look at that coaching staff and you realize like who they have there, that's the team like you look at and you go, whoa, like they have some of their assistants could be, if they wanted to, be head coaches elsewhere. And I mean, they have been in the past. Nico Gonzalez is one I was drawing blank on, but just came to me. But that's a good team to watch. And the number 1 team, we just talked about them with replacing some of those young guys down at the Beast, Del Barton. It's not uncommon. Del Barton's going to be a top team in the state, nationally ranked 9th right now, I think. They're going to give a run for the overall group, state number 1, and national. They're a top 10 team, so there's no way you go against that. Now, let's head to Passaic, and this is always the fun one because I always like to see what people have to say when it comes to the different teams. So, number 10, Manchester. They lost a lot, but they got some good kids coming back. I'm not sure if they'll stay in the top 10, but they've been doing some quality, some quality training there. They got some quality kids in that area, and I think they're going to be the ones that you kind of Might surprise some people, but I want to give them a chance because they've done so well so far. Next, Wayne Valley. Coach Schroeder, we got to see him at the tournament. Did a great job with the team. We're actually going to be seeing them a lot sooner. We're going to be seeing them Wednesday night. And like I said, we'll talk about that with our coverage when we post where we're at this week. Wayne Valley is one of those teams. If they can get everything clicking, I see no reason they can't climb in the rankings. Number 8, DePaul. As we said, young team. They got some good kids coming in. They should be competitive. It's going to be tough in their conference. There are some real powerhouses in the state, but I got DePaul right now at number 8. Number 7, Pompton Lakes. Nick Laciatello, the senior, who I'm trying to get out to my All-Star match if he doesn't play so much baseball, but he's such a good baseball player. It's tough. They should be solid at number 7. I think they'll be very competitive in their conference. Number 6, Wayne Hills. They bring back some good numbers. They bring back some quality wrestlers who won some all-season national tournaments, and I think they're going to be solid there. Number 5, Lakeland, who had a great showing down at the Beast. Had some guys get to the second day. They're a tough tournament team. If they can fill out a full lineup, which might be a little tough, but if they can get a full lineup, this is a team last year who only submitted, if I remember the math correctly, submitted 7 or 8 wrestlers to wrestle in the PCT and finished second. You know how hard that is? It means you have some really good wrestlers. Number 4, Passaic Valley, led by Frankie Martino and others. I think they're going to be a good team. They can move up and down. I think they're in the pack there. I think they're going for their 4th conference championship. I know they split it last year with our number 3 team, West Milford. West Milford's going to be an interesting case. They have Colin Minier. They also have Spencer Rabitsky. It's going to be how Ben Marchetto does. If Ben Marchetto, who was 8th in the state as a sophomore, he's here now, and it's like trying to get him ready. He hurt his back in the offseason, and he had some surgery. He had a surgery. He's still coming back from it. He should be good after January, but any lingering effect could give them an early season loss that they don't want. Number 2, PCTI. I was at their gym when I did my preview there. They have over 100 kids, but they have some really top-notch guys in Ismail Vedador, Omar Tarecki, and James Conklin. Those 3 guys are very solid. James Dixon up at heavyweight. They should battle really hard with our number 1 team, and that's Clifton. Clifton was right there. If you watched our videos last year, we did all 3 Clifton PCTI matches. Clifton won the first one as part of the Big North Duels. Won it by less than 4 points, if I remember correctly. And then when they came back 2 weeks later and wrestled in the conference match, PCTI beat them by 3. And then in the North 1 Group 5 championship, PCTI beat them to advance and win the conference championship. So 2-1 Clifton was against 1-2 Clifton was against PCTI, but different year, different teams. We'll see how they wind up going and getting everything going. But talking about Clifton, PCTI, and conference rankings, I mentioned earlier about a division idea I had. So here's I always laugh because I hear people complain about certain things when it comes to high school wrestling. It's, where are the rivalries? Where is this? Where's that? I want everybody to understand this. Wrestling's a business. As much as it's a sport in high school, I understand that. But for it to make sense, it's got to make dollars. That's a little pun there. I don't know. You guys can look it up later. So what you want to do is you want to make enough money that it's worth it to have those type of matches. Burying conference in division matches on a quad Saturday is lazy. Doing it early in the season, I don't think is fair because, maybe somebody's injured to come back. It might switch. So my proposal to all conferences would be this. If you have your division set up, and I'll use the NJAC just as an example, just because it was one of the ones I was talking with some of the coaches about, and it makes a little bit of sense. So in the NJAC, the American and National Division have 6 teams. Every other division except for the Colonial Division has 5 teams. What I would do is you take these teams and say they're broken up in the blocks, for example, in the NJAC. So there's the red block, white block, blue block. Every Wednesday or Saturday night as an alternative, but every Wednesday, during the season, what you do is you make that rivalry night. You make that division night. So on a Wednesday night, we're looking here would be January 3rd, looking at the Red Block. You have a Del Barton, West Morris. You have a Pope John, Montville, a Morris Hills, Mount Olive. And then for the national, you can have a Mendham, Morristown, a Morris Knowles, Randolph, a Sparta, Roxbury. And then the next week, you switch through. Because what you want to do is you want to get these kids. You want to have those little kids. And all of us wrestlers, I was a wrestler, and all the wrestlers now had that moment where they saw the big team out there and they're wrestling for a squad, and it got that spark in their eye. We need to make more sparks for a lot of these kids because that'll help with a lot of numbers too. So, for example, if you go down to so if I have the blue block, using them as an example as well, you can have a night where you have Hanover Park, Madison, Pequannock, Park Hills, and then you can take a Boonton and have them cross over with somebody in the Independence Division. So you can have a Boonton, Mountain Lakes, and then a Parsippany, Whippany Park, Dover, Kinnelon. And then you can mix them up. You'll get the kids out, and then you have the youth. You can have a youth night. You can promote it with everything. It's just the way to go. And everybody, that's what everybody wants to talk about when it comes to, you have to make money, make it worth it. That's an easy way to do it. Stop throwing these good matches on a Friday before the season or a Saturday quad because it's easy. That's just laziness. You want to make these moments. Do something. Make these moments. Get those kids out there to want to wrestle. That's what it's about. Because I understand some of those matches might not be the greatest, but those moments of seeing those wrestlers under the light, that might inspire the next Luke Stanich or Brian Saldana or Anthony Ashnault or a Pat Glory, and get them to say, hey, I want to try wrestling, and you never know. That's all I'm saying. Just give it a shot. And, if you want to say I'm an idiot or I don't know what I'm talking about, give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? You're already getting half-empty gyms for some of these, weekend quads anyway. So, what do I know? I'm just a wrestling reporter who's done it for the last, 15 years and kind of knows the trends. And his own pro wrestling business has done it for 18 years. What do I know about making money? I don't know. I'll leave it to the higher ups. Speaking of leaving it to higher ups, Jared is going to have our upcoming coverage posted, and I'm going to tell you where we're going to be this week because we have a jam-packed week. When I tell you we have some good matchups, we are going to be Tuesday night. We're going to be taking the crew. We're going to be at Morris Hills for the matchup with Mount Olive, a great matchup that I want to see. And that's a division matchup there in the American division. So we're going to cover a good match that's on a Tuesday, which obviously with Christmas, that's what you have to do. But it's also going to be, they're going to have their youth night. They're going to have JV, stuff like that. So they make it a spectacle. That's what I was talking about. I know it's on a Wednesday, but make it a spectacle. Make it something that grasps the kids. Then on Wednesday, we're going to go out to Wayne Valley. We're going to have Wayne Hills at Wayne Valley. So that'll be a good cross-town rivalry there. Two really good teams, as you said. You heard they were in my rankings. They'll be battling it out. It'll be a solid matchup there. Then Thursday, we're taking the ride up Route 15 to Kittatinny. We're going to be calling the Morris Hills a Kittatinny match. Like I said, it's going to be nice to see where Kittatinny ranks and to see how Morris Hills breaks it down. I think that's going to be a really close one, and you're going to want to tune in there. We'll get the start times obviously up once we get a little closer. And the big quad. This is probably one of our bigger quads. We usually don't do quads before January just because you never know what you're going to get. I'm telling you, this is a solid quad. We're going to be at Randolph, and it's going to be Randolph, Warren Hills, Hanover Park, and West Morris. You want to talk about quality teams. You got a group finalist from a year ago in Warren Hills. You have a sectional finalist in Hanover Park, and you got two quality upcoming teams in West Morris, Randolph. I don't know what you're doing next weekend, but you should be tuning in and checking it out. It's going to be a 5 p.m. start time for that. We'll have the bout schedule up for that. And I think the other matches, if I remember correctly, are 7 p.m. start time. We'll be on the air a little early. I think Wayne Valley might be 6:30, but like I said, we'll post that. We'll have a graphic up posting where we're going to be and doing all that. But listen, I told you, we're in this for the long haul. And, I know a lot of people want to know how they can get involved, what they can do. I was saying it before. If you have a local business, we have limited sponsorship opportunities remaining for 23-24. On the page on the website, go to any of the open links where it says your ad here, click on it. There's a sponsorship form, goes directly to my email. We had people do it last year. I'll get in contact with you. When I tell you, and I'm not going to put it out here because I don't want people getting my trade secrets, but when I tell you how little it is, when you realize how much exposure you get for your business or sponsorship for how little cost, you're going to be shocked. It's almost like I'm paying you in a sense to put you on the air. You're not, I'm not paying you. Don't get that idea, but it's very inexpensive, especially for some businesses. And, there's page sponsors, there is live stream sponsors. We have a couple more coming up. Let us advertise you. I mean, I hear a lot of people like, oh, live stream this, live stream that. We are the premier wrestling live stream company in Northern New Jersey. We cover the most, we do the most, we're the most well-respected. Other people with their used car salesman garbage will lie to you and take your money. And then when you realize a couple of months in, you've lost thousands when you could pay way less than that and get twice as much, if not 3 times as much coverage and business from it. Why listen to the goof when we deliver the proof? That's all I'm saying. Give us a shot. What's the worst that could happen? But before I go, don't forget to follow us on our social medias. We're on Twitter or X, whatever he calls it this week, at Garden State HSW. We're on Facebook at Garden State HS Wrestling. We're on Instagram at Garden State HS Wrestling. And we're on YouTube at Garden State HS Wrestling. Like and subscribe. You'll get notified when you see any of our live events go up, our podcast, any special stuff we do, and basically all the information you need for Northern New Jersey wrestling at Garden State HS Wrestling. So for Jared, the podcasting legend, I'm Donald J. Brower. I'm going to go get some sleep because I got a busy week of wrestling coming up. We'll see you next time.